pose to you a question. If you were building your dynasty, where would it be? Location, GM, coach? That's what we're deciding here. And for the first time, Quentin is going to start. Take it away with your location.
Yeah, I mean, my first location, I think this one kind of jumped off the page. I originally wanted to go with LA. That was my original thought this morning. I was going, okay, where else would you rather be? LA. But then I thought, why not Miami? You basically get California weather. I mean, obviously, it's a little bit different than California. I would argue the weather in California is nicer, but no state income tax. And if you don't think that plays a big role, look at the Toronto Raptors this year. They knew they had states, and I remember the first game they played, and who was it in the studio? I forget. One of the analysts in the studio, and they're like talking about why they chose Florida. They're giving all these reasons, whatever, and they're going to cut into the game. And they're like fading out, and he goes, "There's no state income tax there as well." And as soon as he said that, I'm like, well, you could literally just throw everything else out the window. The only reason they did it was, oh my God, we don't need to pay any income tax. Like, especially when guys are making over the threshold. I think I was just like quickly Googled the California one. It's if you make over $600,000, which obviously all these players do, except maybe like one player, it's 12.3%, and in Florida it's nothing. So like that is a massive chunk, and I think that tied with the weather, with the culture, the fact that they're building a winning team right now, just putting it out there, it's a great free agency destination. You know, think of LeBron, Dwayne Wade, Chris Bosh sort of styles. You kind of want to go to Miami. I don't think it's a good long-term home for anyone. I don't want to piss anyone off there, but I think it's a great destination for a football team, and it appears to have like a lot of fans as well.
We talked about this a little bit beforehand, and it would be a shame if Florida didn't have a team. But we think about the hotbeds of football. Florida is one of them. In my location, Look, there's really no look. It's gonna be in Texas. It would be a shame if it was anywhere else. You can make the arguments that what markets, what's a strong market, what's rising, what's falling. You stick with the iconography. Not only is Dallas the area, it's like the center of football, but not only the location, but the name itself is so iconic around the world that if you were to create a location and a name for football, you would pick Dallas and you would pick the Cowboys. That's how perfect of the location is. You add in the tax breaks, all of that. Of course, being a pipeline for name every player, on top of having basically, how many pro football teams do they have in Texas? 10, realistically? Let's be real. What level of high school football is professional?
I mean, I would say Allen is probably almost professional.
I mean, if we're saying 10 at that point, we're talking high schools. We're looking at 50, that type of level. Not only domestically is Dallas the place to be for football, it is known around the world. People know what is a cowboy, an American cowboy. That's all they know. It doesn't make any sense, but hey, if I had to pick a location, and I might not even switch owners, but in this case, I'm the owner. So it's GM time. What are you picking?
I mean, I think this one's pretty obvious who I'm going to pick. It's going to be Mickey Loomis. Mickey Loomis, Bucs Loomis. There's no better GM, in my opinion, in the NFL when it comes to cap manipulation. I think that is one of the largest.
We'll see about that one.
That is the largest, I guarantee it. I think almost above player evaluation, your ability to evaluate and manipulate the salary cap might be more important than understanding the ins and outs of player evaluation. Obviously, it's more about, in anything in sports, it's all about building your staff. I think he builds a strong staff consistently. I will add that we've never seen him draft a quarterback before, so we don't know about that. That's the most important thing. But I will say, given his track record with drafting recently, his ability to have a good team around him. Terry Fontenot just got signed as a GM to the Atlanta Falcons. He's helped revive Jeff Ireland's career in New Orleans. He's looking like he's probably going to get taken as a GM in the next year or two. He was one of the big proponents of the 2017 draft. So for those reasons, I would go with Mickey Loomis.
Mickey Loomis hasn't given anyone really an excuse to go with anyone else. Really, there's the chemistry they have within that organization. Now, we're going to see if they can get their way out of this situation, which could be an absolute nightmare. I've never seen a cap situation like this in my life. I don't even follow the cap situations really, but what are they? 120 under the cap?
No, now they're at 80.
They're at 80. Okay, so it's doable, but
very doable.
But at a certain point, you got to see if maybe they could structure it a little bit differently. But hey, these are the rules that are set out, and if you can manipulate them, he was the first on my list. I wrote down Mickey Loomis, maybe Quentin's probably going to pick him. But for me, there's a lot of good GMs out there. I actually was kind of surprised, and I'm going to have to go with Chris Ballard. And I think it's as common as with everyone.
Yeah, I like
it. That, like, it's hard to go and say, oh, who's gotten a quarterback or whatever. But let's remember the state of this Colts franchise. Not only having to deal with Andrew Luck retiring, the dumpster fire that was created by Ryan Grigson, and all of a sudden, Chris Ballard comes in, boom, we have structure within this organization. We have some type of decision trying to find quarterbacks. And then on top of it, you throw in, first off, his expertise. He was with the Chiefs before going to the Colts, involved in drafting Tyreek Hill, Travis Kelce, and of course, I think his best draft pick, obviously by far, as a Colt, would be Darius Leonard. I mean, that's just it. He's an FCS player. I mean, to draft an FCS player, but South Carolina State, and in the second round, and boom, he's all pro. Pretty phenomenal. On top of drafting, obviously, Quentin Nelson, but not necessarily just his drafting, but I really feel comfortable with him making roster decisions. I haven't really seen a giant misstep. That defense has a chemistry, it has a culture, and he's got to be a part of that. And on top of the way he just handles himself, he seems like someone who would. The best GMs are going to be able to walk back their stuff, right? They're not going to be stuck in the mud. They're not going to, say, crap, I'm sticking with it. I'm sticking with Trubisky. If you admit your mistakes, you can move forward.
Yeah, I think you can draw similarities between Chris Ballard and Mickey Loomis in kind of the way how their roster is constructed. And you think of both of these teams, right? Like Drew Brees retires this year. And the thing I was thinking about this morning was I still think this team's going to win 10 games with a different quarterback. You can insert a different quarterback, and this team's probably still going to win 10 games and probably make the playoffs next year. Now, when they win the Super Bowl, I don't know. That remains to be seen. With the Colts, very similar. Like, hey, I know they lost Andrew Luck last year. The fact that they were, 7-9 without Andrew Luck, that was, in my opinion, incredible. And then you tie that in with this year, you insert Philip Rivers, who, he's not a top 10 quarterback anymore. He's certainly serviceable, and they were pretty close to winning that playoff game. And you could probably make the argument they were the better team against the Bills that day. So I think that really speaks out to the ability to draft and develop and build teams very solidly. Like, both of those teams have really good lines, really good offensive line, a really good defensive line. And I like how both general managers really prioritize those positions.
He also did. Hiring the right coach. I mean, obviously having a little bit of that back and forth with Josh McDaniels. So I'm just checking to see if he was actually there at that time. It seems like
he was. Yeah, that was his first thing.
So that was, and then having to deal with Andrew Luck. I feel like a lot of people put in these situations would have failed miserably, and I feel like because he is so secure, secure in his role. Not as a position is what I mean by
Who did they trade their first round pick for? Who, the defensive tackle from?
Yes, great pickup.
One of the most under the radar. Yeah.
It was Jesus. He was off the 49ers. Yeah, I want to say, I can't believe I'm gonna get this. Alrighty, it's gonna be.
I just think it was one of the most underrated, kind of under the radar moves that we kind of forgot about, but it worked out very well.
It was fantastic. I'm just getting it right now. Colts. It was DeForest Buckner.
I think that was really good.
That's great. This defense itself, really, I mean, we look at it, we go Justin Houston, DeForest Buckner, Grover Stewart, Darius Leonard, Anthony Walker, Oriki, Kenny Moore, Kahari Wills, Julian Blackmon, Xavier Rhodes. I mean, EJ Speed's on this team. We got Rocky Sin, who's obviously was injured, Malik Hooker was injured. A really good secondary. They fight back, and on top of really finding a pretty good special teams situation. So we're going to move on to coach. You're up.
Yeah, so I think we probably agree, obviously. I mean, I'm not necessarily going to pick him, obviously, because I think you have to treat this – I think you feel like you have to treat this like when Tiger Woods was really good and you had to pick who was going to win that tournament in like 2004, and it was Tiger versus Field. Like, obviously, everyone's going to pick Bill Belichick, so I'm just going to remove him from the category, in my opinion, just because it's too easy. It's too easy. So if I had to pick, I'd pick Bill Belichick Jr. In my opinion, that's Brian Flores in Miami. Like, back to the Miami. I like what they're doing. I like what they're building there. I think they're building a really solid defense. And
you don't like the mullet?
Oh, I don't like. You're talking about his son. No,
yeah.
I don't know. Maybe he is a good coach. Yeah, I'm sure he's a great coach. But I like what Flores is doing down there. And if I had to pick someone for the college ranks, my love for Lincoln Riley is, I think, known at this point. I'm a big fan of what he's doing down there, and I only think it's a matter of time until an NFL GM or owner just whispers into his ear, like, "Hey, you can take a month off in March," and he'll be on his the first plane over to an NFL franchise.
You're really going with Flores.
I like Flores. If I had to pick for the long term, the long haul.
Look, I mean, if I had to pick a long-term, long haul, let's just get these out of the way. Kyle Shanahan, McVay, LaFleur, Sean Payton. Yeah. But someone's got to defend Bill Belichick. He doesn't need any defending, but hey, he's my coach. I want him. Look, is everyone just forgetting that Bill Belichick's the greatest coach of all time? I'm sorry. Like, I don't see a way where, especially in my dynasty, where I'm thinking we're Dallas, we got to deal with this situation correctly. At the helm, we got cool, calm, collected Chris Ballard, who's making the draft picks. Bill Belichick didn't have to make them. Hey, maybe we'll get a receiver. Who knows? Maybe we'll have a talented roster. Bill Belichick, the coach. And maybe this is a little bit of a throwback. Maybe this is Bill Parcells in Dallas, and we unfortunately discover Tony Romo. But I would have to go with Bill Belichick. Look, he knows how to manage games. He knows how to win games. He's not going to step over himself. He's going to be ready for the team to come in and play. He's going to fix every issue that was in Dallas. However, if I was the owner, we probably wouldn't have these problems to begin with. That's how crazy it is. Me sitting in Canada, in Toronto, in the snow, I think I have a better grasp of how to run a football team to win than the owner of the Dallas Cowboys, who's living there right now.
Well, I think the issue with a lot of owners is very simple. I mean, neither of us can put our feet in any owner's shoes. But I think a problem that often plagues them is that they get to this position in life by being successful in something else, and typically successful in everything they do because they've amassed such wealth. Now, I think that when they get to that point, and they want input on everything. You know why? They've always been successful, but now they're finally at a point where you're not going to be correct, right? Like, Dan Snyder shouldn't be picking the quarterback, yet somehow he's still picking the quarterback. Like, I understand you're the one fronting the bills, but you're also the guy who pays these people to make these decisions.